Okay, don't know what happened with that. Didn't play the intro for some reason. I'll get me knuckles wrapped by Gav, but that was a technical issue beyond my control. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Midweek Fix on the LFC Daytrippers. I'm your host, Keith, and tonight I'm joined by three regulars at this stage. I'm joined by Chris, Emmett, and Kev. Lads, how are yous?
Oh, good, mate. Yeah,
good.
not too bad. Looking forward to tomorrow night. It's looking a bit more forward to it now after tonight's results.
You know, that's something that we're going to look ahead to. We don't want to be too presumptuous of what's going to happen, but, you know, the way the games have gone tonight sort of lets us know what's at stake now. If we can get past Benfica, which I think we should do, but we'll talk more about that as we're going on. Emmett, you've been a bit under the weather recently. How are you feeling? You're with us tonight. You're able to print a shift. No worries.
I've a pulse. That's the main thing. So it didn't look like I was going to have one early Sunday morning, but shook it off. Could barely even talk. It was like my throat was all closed up. So now, thankfully, now I'm back talking. Some will be happy with that, some won't.
Especially now you're in the talking game, you know what I mean? You're in the talking game now, so it's good that your voice.
I have to get some of those things that Tom Jones. You ever see the Oaks Tom Jones? He keeps one in his mouth all the time to save his voice.
There you go. That could be it. So, lads, midweek fix. We're going to look ahead to the big game that's on tomorrow night. And Liverpool host Benfica, the return leg in the Champions League quarterfinals. This is what Liverpool's all about. This is what we've all grown up on, you know. Big games in Europe, Liverpool are made for them. And this has been no different. We've got a nice little lead going into this game. Chris, we'll start with you. How are you feeling? Do you think we can get the job done tomorrow, or is there anything in the back of your mind that has a little concern?
No, I'm quite relaxed about it. I mean, if we get knocked out tonight, it'd be the first time since 1965 we've actually been knocked out of the European Cup with a 2-goal lead. So we are talking the extremes of it happening. I just think we saw the best of them in the first leg. I still think we've got too much for them. I think it's going to be a bit like, we've had the lessons of it, the Leicester away game in December. If your attitude's right, you should be able to control these fairly well. I think what might make it a bit closer is how many changes the manager makes, because the harder game on paper is City at the weekend. So he's got to get the balance right, and then he's got United. I know he says he doesn't look too far ahead, but he does. He does lie, Klopp. He does lie quite a lot. So I think we'll be all right. But that'll be it. Yes, Steve, I do remember it, but I'm not quite that old. Thank you very much.
Even I'm not that old.
Don't know. Well, we'll come to you then, Kev. What do you remember about that balmy evening?
Well, it was a cold, stiff one, I tell you.
Yeah, but what about the evening?
We'll talk about that after. Look, Chris is right. As long as we turn up on the night and do our job, we'll be fine. They have threats. They have they have some really good players. Darwin Núñez scored a hat-trick at the weekend, but saying that, it was a hat-trick against a side who were bottom of the league, and Benfica ran out comfortable 3-1 winners. The advantage that they have is they will be fresher than us.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know what that City game at the weekend has taken out of the legs. So I expect rotation tomorrow night. The squad apparently is fully fit, so we talk about squad depth and how proud we are to have a squad. So it's going to get tested, and it'll be needed. And I hope that people don't lose their rag when they see a team sheet tomorrow night with 5 or 6 changes, because the changes I think that need to be made are all good players coming in, all experienced heads, know what they're doing and know how to do a job in Europe. That's the most important thing. So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll get on to what to expect after that. But it's important we rotate. It's important we keep everyone as fresh as possible and get the job done. I hope Anfield is buzzing tomorrow night, because the fear is that at 3-1 up, that I've been guilty of it, and other people on the pod have been guilty of it as well in some ways, that we're all saying we've got 1.5 feet into the semi-final. We don't. We're 2-0 up we're 2 goals up at half time. And we've seen in the Chelsea game tonight how a 2-goal lead can disappear really quickly. So we have to be on our mettle and do our job tomorrow night and get through. That's all that matters.
Indeed. Emmett, what about yourself? Are you in the camp of we need to do a job tomorrow, or are you in the 1.5 feet in the semi-final gang with me?
Definitely not. Look, we're Liverpool fans. Do you know what I mean? We know that a game isn't always dead and buried after the first leg. And Benfica will be coming. Like, I mean, they gave us a little bit of a scare in the first leg. So they know they can as good as match us. I know it's 3-1, but I mean, we got the third goal late enough in the game. So I think they'll be coming, I'm not going to say confident, but they'll come and they'll stick it right up us. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I think we will see changes. But like Kev said, any of the changes to rotation in the squad doesn't necessarily weaken it at all. Like, even if you look, you could put out a completely different three up front and we still be just as strong. You could have Kanate coming in for Matip, still just as strong. And as we've seen throughout the season, Tsimikas even going in for Robbo doesn't weaken us at all. But I think it's about, like we always say, it's about rhythm and concentration, I think, as well. And I think Klopp has the players well drilled that they're not going to get too complacent. So I think maybe in the first leg we maybe got a little bit complacent, and their goal kind of knocked us back into gear, like, and we kind of just controlled it from there on out. So yeah, control the game, not be complacent, and we should go through.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very fair. You know, Liverpool, it's not our first rodeo. Do you know what I mean? It's not this team's first rodeo. It's not Jurgen Klopp's first rodeo. And I think the experience that we've had won't allow the players to maybe look too far ahead. And Chris touched on, you know, Jurgen Klopp does look ahead. We all know he'll say one game at a time, but they all look ahead. But it's important that they don't on this one, because Benfica, I don't think they caused too many problems the last time. They possession and a hostile crowd. I think it'll be interesting to see what they can do at Anfield, where I would expect the Anfield crowd to be on it. Do you know what I mean? I don't expect it to be tetchy. I don't expect it to be you know, anything less than boisterous, because the fans know what needs to be done. Benfica do have threats, and we're going to talk about Darwin Núñez. Kev, will come to you. He gets a hat-trick at the weekend. He scored against us the other night. He is the threat, isn't he? He's the one that, if they're going to get back into this game, it's going to be through him.
Yeah, if he's learned his lessons and learns to stay on his feet, he's going to be a hell of a striker. You know, he's the right age. If you're looking for a striker to sign, to build your club around for the next 5 years, he's on that list. He has to be on the list. If you're a Manchester United, if you're a Newcastle United, if you're a Spurs.
Well, I've seen them linked with 3 clubs: Manchester United, Chelsea, and PSG. Apparently, are the 3 clubs leading the race.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's on Atletico Madrid's list as well, with Luis Suarez going out the door. The ref gave him absolutely nothing, and his reputation preceded him in the first leg. The slightest touch, he looked to go down rather than stay on his feet and try to get a shot up. If he does that half as much, going forward now into the future, if he does that half as much, referees will give him the benefit of the doubt at times in a decision where he might deserve it. But he's a very good player, and he's the makings of a superstar.
There was actually one incident like that, Kev, that you say, where he should stay on his feet. I think it was against Kanate along the line, and he had actually put the ball past Kanate, and he decided to go down. If he had stayed on his feet, he was heading towards the corner of the box.
Yeah, maybe it's a case in Portugal. You got, you know, friendly referees, they give it to them, but in Europe they won't. And he's not going to. He didn't help himself, or he didn't help Benfica, because the one thing they'll need to do tomorrow night is make the ball stick up front. You know, we will probably dominate the ball, and they need an out ball. And he is a willing runner; he can run the channels, but they need to be able to get support up to him as well. The likes of Tarat in midfield, you'll get an hour out of him. He's a good playmaker. He's very good with the ball on his feet if you allow him to lift his head up. But I expect him to be pounced on and nullified by an enforcer in midfield, who I think is going to come in to do a job. And I expect us to have a comfortable enough night. I really do, and not being arrogant or anything about it, but I expect to score. I expect to see us score 2 or 3 tomorrow night and be comfortable in it, manage the game well. But if we're not careful, if we're careless, the likes of Everton, the likes of Nunes, they can cause you problems. Rafa is another one. He's a pure speed demon. And it's amazing that he's still in Portugal, to be fair. I honestly thought he'd have been one that would have been picked up. I thought someone like a Wolves would have had a go at him when they lost to Adama Traore. You know, he looks like he's tailor-made for that kind of wing-back role in a 3-5-2. That someone like Wolves would have taken a punt on him, especially with the Portuguese links that they have. He's seriously quick. You know, so they have threats, you know, but we're really good at shutting that out as well. You know, we handle pacey wingers all the time. So I'm quietly confident. You have to be 3-1 up at home. You have to be confident.
Yeah, Chris, are you confident, or do you see the threats of Benfica? Are you weary of what they pose against us?
I think if the attitude's right, I'm confident we should beat them by at least 2 goals. I think they've also had the warning of the Inter game, where I think we tried to manage that game and just sort of like try and win it in second gear. We probably didn't get the balance quite right. I mean, look, Inter's goal was a wonder goal, but we limited them, but we just weren't quite ruthless enough. So the Inter loss actually might be a bit of a blessing, because it gives them a bit of a warning of, you can get through these games, but probably not as passive as we were. So I think, especially with the 5 subs, they should try work on to do the old Rafa style, or probably the first season we had under Klopp, is hit them early, hit them hard with pace and power, and try and over dominate them in the first 20 minutes, half an hour, and try and get the tie killed early. Because that's, with the amount of games we've got, if you get the opportunity to kill a game early, you've got to do it. Nunes will be the threat, but I actually think this will be a nice game for Canate. A little bit of, not quite a redemption thing, but he knows he made the error in the first leg, and I think it'd be quite nice. It'll be quite a nice redemption story for him to come in and have another very good game and control it. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Emmett, Benfica, we know will pose a threat. Are you worried that, you know, the changes that we will expect to see may lead Liverpool to, you know, we haven't been in the best of form. We've been getting the wins, but performance-wise, we probably haven't been at the best lately. Do you think and we'll come on to who we think will start in the game tomorrow, do you think that might affect Liverpool, or can you see the freshening up maybe being a benefit?
Yeah, no, I think like all of these lads now are when they get that chance in the team, they have to take that chance. There's plenty of massive games coming up. I don't see it affecting us as much anymore as it maybe used to. I mean, you look at the likes of like a League Cup game or an FA Cup game where he actually, now I know he'd be bringing in younger lads as well, but sometimes it can look a little bit disjointed. But the actual options that we have at the moment, they're all used to playing together, training together. I don't see it. No, I'm not too concerned about it. I think they all just kind of slot in seamlessly, and they have done throughout the season. Like I touched on earlier on, Tsimikas, Konate, in, and they can come in and out. Any of the front 3. Midfield, maybe midfield. I thought we've been a little bit susceptible in midfield, depending on who he picks. It'd be interesting to see who he picks in there, because I think he definitely will rotate in the midfield as well. I think Kev said it earlier on, you're probably looking at about 4 or 5 changes tomorrow, but I'm not too concerned that they'll weaken us in any way, or kind of, no, not concerned at all.
Yeah, I mean, the 5 subs I think is going to be key.
Yeah.
The fact that we have, and for the FA Cup semi-final as well, we can use 5 subs in that as well, can't we? So, I mean, I think this is where we'll start to see the squad getting a little bit managed for, you know, God knows when the next time will be. But, Chris, I'll come back to you on this. Liverpool are going into this on the back of a tough game against Manchester City. I'd say a fairly positive. The players will come out at feeling relatively positive. How do you think Liverpool will line up for this game tomorrow? Like, what way do you see us starting?
I think 2 of the front 3 get changed, 2 midfielders and one of the defence.
So you're going with a back 5 of Alisson, Trent, Konate, Virgil, and Robbo.
Yeah, because I just think that they'll still manage Matip. And to be fair to Konate, whenever we've dropped him into Europe, he's really good. And I think his pace and power against Nunez is probably more of an asset. So it's good for him. I think only Henderson starts out of the midfield from the weekend. Thiago, you've got to manage his minutes. We all know that because we know he's susceptible to an injury. And that first 45 minutes is the worst 45 minutes I've seen Fabinho have for Liverpool. He was really poor. It was probably like the Arsenal one in his first season. He's susceptible to those sort of performances, but all players are. I do think something is a bit of tiredness. So I think this is probably the game to rest him in. So I give Henderson 60 minutes and then you can swap say, a Fabinho in. I give Keita a run out because, to be fair to Keita, he's had a really good season and this sort of game will suit him. And I would give Jones the other berth. I think he probably deserves another start. He seems to have jumped ahead of Milner, Chamberlain, and Elliott in the pecking order. He seems to be 5th choice at the moment, so I think he deserves a little bit of a run out, and it'll do him good. More European experience for him, I think, is what he needs, and he's got plenty of experience around him with a Robbo, Bayern, and a Henderson, so I think that'll help. Forward-wise, Firmino will start. I think Jota will start. I think probably Diaz, but I've got an inkling in the back of my head that I'd like Diaz to start at the weekend. So that's the one I'm umming and ahhing over, is whether does he hold Diaz back for City at the weekend. But for me, Salah doesn't start. The lad needs a break. Yeah. I think he's mentally shattered from, and it's not sulking as some people have been accused him of on social media. He's literally got out of 2 big tournaments with his country. That's probably his last ever chance to get into a World Cup, because realistically, he's going to be in his mid-30s next time that comes around. Losing the AFCON at the finals, I think mentally that takes a lot out of him. Whereas we've seen with Sadio looks brilliant since he's come back because he's on the high of getting to a World Cup and winning the AFCON for the first time.
Yeah, and it's amazing, isn't it, that Sadio looks terrible in games, but will get the goal, and that always seems to pick him up. Whereas Mo just can't seem to buy a goal at the moment. And it's we get spoiled a lot with our attacking options. So whatever way he goes, I don't think we'll have too many complaints. Emmett, how do you see us lining up? What would you go with?
I have Alisson, Trent, Konate, Van Dijk. I was leaning towards Tsimikas, but I think Robbo's pace would probably be better up against Silva. Hendo, Jones, Keita. And I do have Salah, Bobby, Diaz. But I do agree that he probably does need a rest. But you saw towards the end of the City game, it was kind of flashes of what he used. Well, I'm not going to say what he used to be able to do, but like the old Salah, even that where he cut inside in the box and took the deflected shot that we didn't get the corner for. Yeah. We hadn't seen that from him kind of really in more recent games. But I can see, I probably agree with Chris. He probably will leave him out with one eye on City the weekend. But again, the 5 subs, does he play him first 45 and take him off then? Get a goal. I think for him to get a goal is going to be massive. And I think we might get 1 or 2 goals tomorrow. So if you got an early goal, give him a bat at half time and then send somebody on in his place. But like I said, regardless of what 3, I know Kev was saying people will be having meltdowns. I probably used to be one of those that have a meltdown if you have a look at the squad that he puts out. But we've got a squad now where you kind of go, and I think the one person that kind of started that off was Tsimikas last year. Everybody was kind of a bit wary of him. And then when he came in, it was like there was people actually calling for him to start Tsimikas over Robbo. And it's just kind of snowballed from there, that everybody that actually comes in and replaces someone is like for like, just as strong, has just as strong attributes as the person they're replacing. So
the pleasing thing with Salah was in the City game was, while he didn't get the goal, I think me and Kev taught us, I think me and Keith taught us as well, is at least in this game, Salah had more of a team contribution, as in he was involved in the plays, link play was better. He just felt involved in the game, whereas probably because his confidence has been down last couple of days, he's just felt like a bit of a ghost, as in like if he's not got a shot off, you forget he's there. I did think of the City game. City were terrified of him getting the ball and were really doubling up on him because of the way he was playing. So I took that as a bit of a green shoot of positivity that he's starting to click back into his form, which you would think he will do at some point.
Yeah. And Kev, what about yourself? How do you see us lining up?
I'd have gone with the same back four as Chris, with Trent, Konate, Virgil, and Robbo. Well, midfield, I'd start Fabinho. I think he needs to get that first half out of his system, and there's no better way to do it than give an hour in this kind of a game. I'd have Milner on the right-hand side, and I'd have Naby on the left. And up front, I'd have Bobby in the 9, Diaz wide left, and probably Jota on the right. But I could see an argument for Mane starting on the right and making changes on the hour, as long as you're comfortable enough in the game to make them. But I think tomorrow night is a game for control. It's a game for managing the minutes, managing the clock, and experience in midfield. I think it would be a huge game to throw Curtis into, especially with the likes of having someone like a Rafa Silva running off you, or Everton running off you, and he hasn't played that many minutes. I think James Milner is one of those players that you could just drop in. He might not have played for a month. You can drop him in. He'll play. He'll do his job. He'll do it really well, and you can get an hour out of him, and that's enough. An hour of full help, James Milner, is absolutely fine. The only worry would be for people on bookings coming into the game. I'm not sure who they are. I think Robbo's on one.
I think Jota's another.
And Jota's another one.
Don't they get wiped out after this round, though?
I don't know.
But if they get one tomorrow, they miss the first leg of the semi-final.
Oh, I thought they just wiped. I thought they just said from now it's just wiped and that's it.
No, I think it's after the quarterfinals.
Ah, right, okay. I think it's Jota and Mane.
I'm nearly sure.
Yeah, so they don't miss a final. Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't. Yeah, it's because you don't have the Roy Keane incident from years ago. Where you pick up a bookie in a semi-final and you miss the final. I think they changed it after that. But yeah, look, I just want to see the game managed and see the game won. And I think these are the kind of games that you have a James Milner for. You have him in the squad for these kind of roles. And I think Henderson is the first change. You bring him in to see the game out. But I think Fabinho needs to get that first half out of his system. We know he's better than that. Maybe the traveling and the playing at high altitude did take it out of him a bit. We don't know. But Klopp at his press conference was on about games coming thick and fast. And he was on about the turnaround in the games from the Cup semi-final to the midweek game to the Champions League semi-final, if we get there, to a Saturday morning kickoff away to Newcastle. So this is where the 5 sub is huge. You have to manage players' minutes, and if you can manage key players' minutes while winning games, that's brilliant. That's fantastic. And there's no doubt that someone like Salah does need a break. And if he comes in for Sadio, bonus, and they can roles reverse it in the semi-final on Saturday. It's not the most important competition. It's nice to be in the semi-final, and if you can win it, great. But it's not the holy grail and the be-all and end-all. You don't put players who are in the red list in any danger for a cup semi-final irrespective. The league is still the most important thing, along with the Champions League. The FA Cup semi-final is the cherry and the icing on the cake kind of thing. That's the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'd actually bring Gomez as well into this. I
wouldn't be surprised,
to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised to see Gomez come in. So I'd be looking at Alisson. I'd go Gomez. I'd go Konate, Van Dijk, and Robertson. I think Robertson could do with a rest. I don't know if too many changes in the back might not be beneficial, and I just think Trent. Let's keep Trent fresh. Bring him in if needed, but I think Gomez is an able deputy. Well, I think Tsimikas can certainly be. Put it this way, I'd say it's a toss of a coin about resting one of the fullbacks for me. But I think Gomez is one that needs the minutes more, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Gomez coming in. I agree with Kev on the midfield show. I think Fabinho, Naby, and Milner could be the shout there, because I think Rafa Silva is the danger man for me. Apart from Nunes, I think he's the one that will look to break, will look to join up. Everton is a good player, we know that as well. But I just think Fabinho, well, Chris, I do agree that he did have as poor a game as I can remember the other day. I think Klopp is always one for get out and get that out of your system. And I think he comes in. And the fact that we don't really have that specialist player that can come in and do that, I think if we were to go Henderson, Naby, Curtis, I think it's very attacking. And I think it could maybe draw us into a fight that we don't need to be in. Do you know what I mean? It could maybe bring on pressure that we don't need. And I think he'd rather have the caginess of Milner in there, the sort of the nous, just to see, you know, if a kick needs to go in, Milner will put the kick in, you know, little things like that. And then up top, I'd go Diaz for familiarity against Diaz. I'd go Bobby, and then the last one, any of them. Do you know what I mean? It can be Mo, it can be Sadio, it can be Jota, it could be Divock, or it could be bleeding Minamino, for all I care. I just think the 5 subs is key. So whoever starts, you'd be looking to take them out. Do you know what I mean? You'd go if you have one. I agree. But I think Kev was who said Diaz for, or was it Chris Diaz for Sunday or Saturday?
Yeah, it was me who said Diaz for Sunday, because I just feel like for Sunday, I think we both know what each other can do.
Yeah.
And the one thing City have never faced is us with a Diaz. Because in the nicest way, not that it's easy, but we've kind of seen every way City can play. It's still bloody hard to stop them. Don't get me wrong, but there isn't a surprise. There isn't a surprise. The one surprise they've got is, well, they've never faced Mane as a 9 and Diaz as a wide left. Just listen, it might not work, you know, because City are really good, but you know, it's something to throw in there. The one thing I've just noticed, just look at the BBC website. It says Benfica winger Rafa Silva's been ruled out. Which is a big plus.
That is a big plus.
That is huge.
A big plus.
That is huge.
It's a good thing for us, because he is a big threat for them. So you're probably looking at João Mario coming in there, and
that slows them right down.
He slows them down. He was a good player a few years ago.
Remember him at West Ham?
Did he go to Inter? He was at Inter, was he?
He was at Inter for a while,
and he ends up at West Ham.
Yeah, he was in Turkey for a good while as well. You know, he's done the rounds.
He never really kicked on. You know, he never really done it. So if that's what we're looking at, that's a big plus for us. But look, I suppose we can't really take on for granted. It could be Gonçalves in there as well. So there's a few options that we have to be wary of. But I just think the likes of a Milner in there and a Fabinho,
that would actually change
that little base.
That would change my mind on Tsimikas starting.
Yeah.
It would, genuinely, because I think Robertson is better positionally at dealing with someone like a Rafa Silva. Yeah, he's more positionally aware. I think Tsimikas wants to go too much, but if you're not facing that kind of pace, I would seriously consider playing Tsimikas. And you'd have Robertson on the bench as if needed. You know, I honestly think Rafa is a very underrated player. But if he's not available, if he's not playing, I'd seriously consider starting Tsimikas in that case.
Yeah,
you could have Tsimikas and Naby and Diaz on that side. That would scare the shit out of any left-sided of more sides. Yeah. You know, and if you've got Diaz on the left, if you had Jota coming on the cutting in on the right, looking for headers with Bobby from Tsimikas crosses, it's a good way of attacking a side.
Yeah, it's true. I think, you know, the aerial threat of Bobby and Jota, and neither of them at all, but they're both good in the air. And you know, the Tsimikas crosses. Robertson is brilliant as well. Don't get me wrong, but Tsimikas seems better at the cross from a bit deeper with a bit more height on it. whereas Robbo does the cutbacks or the flash across. So maybe it's an option, all right. But it'll be interesting because I think Benfica are going to have to come out and they're going to have to come at us. And you know,
the other thing Benfica could do is play Yarmachuk up front with Darmian off of him, and play like a 2 up top. With João Mario in a 10. You know, and maybe play 3-man midfield and attack with their fullbacks if they wanted to go that way. Maybe play a back 3.
Yeah,
they have that kind of option, but when you take that kind of pace out of a side, that completely alters the way they play. That would be like us going into a game with Diva, with no pace up front. It changes the way we do everything.
Yeah.
And losing that kind of a player can change the way they're able to play. That's a huge thing, really is.
Yeah.
Looks like you're halfway to your prediction, Kev.
Well, tomorrow night we'll see, because I don't think the City are a foregone conclusion going to Atletico.
Even if City get through, though, it's 2 Spanish teams, 2 English teams, so the demise of Spanish football is probably not as big as has been made out, I would say.
Well, it's funny you should say that. We'll go on a little tangent here because I was watching that game tonight. I didn't think Real were great. I thought Chelsea absolutely battered them, and Real got the goals. We're very lucky not to be behind by even more. And Atletico, my wife was only saying she thinks, Atletico at home, they'll do City. They're a pig of a team. But we saw them in the groups. They're not the same Atletico.
No.
They're not the Atletico that we've been used to. Barcelona, Sevilla are a decent enough team, but is it that Spanish teams, there's a resurgence there, or is no one else really at the races? Villarreal have come from nowhere, and we're going to talk about them in a few minutes, but, is it the Serie A looks like it's taken a huge nosedive. We've played the 2 Milan teams this season, and we're told on both occasions that they were going to be a threat. Inter beat us, but ultimately I didn't think they were great. AC Milan, I didn't think were great. So is it a case that the English, with the likes of Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea, are just so far ahead of the rest that the Spanish were maybe just lucky that they've brought up the numbers, or am I being a bit unfair on Spain? Emmett, am I being unfair on Spain?
No, I don't. I think the Premier League is head and shoulders above. Like, you just look. I mean, two teams in the final last year. We've been in 2 finals in the last 4 years, possibly another one. So yeah, it does. They say it comes in cycles, with the different leagues, and different leagues will come back. But maybe, I don't know. No, I don't think are you being unfair? Oh. No, I just think the Premier League is head and shoulders above the rest, and it's whoever gets to these semi-finals, quarter-finals is the best of the rest. And not even now. Like, if you look, Villarreal have put out Bayern. You probably wouldn't have guessed that at the start of the season. You wouldn't even guess that we'd be playing Benfica in the quarter-final. Yeah. Looking at the groups, they had Barcelona in their group. So,
is it a bit more know-how? Just because quite a lot of Spanish players have been there and done it before. So, a bit like when we used to say Germany were always crap in international football, and you go, but they're always in a semi-final.
Yeah,
it's just a little bit of know-how to get through it. In a weird way, Villarreal look more like Atletico than Atletico at times. Yeah, they are going to be. This is going to be like the Atletico game Klopp had a few years ago. They're going to be a pig to get past if we get past Benfica.
Do you know what it is as well? I suppose. Look at the coaches. Do you know what I mean? Look,
Emery's
Diego Simeone, Carlo Ancelotti, Unai Emery, excellent coaches, and especially in European competition, they know what to do.
I think so. I saw a stat up before that if you take out his time at PSG, Emery has won 22 two-legged knockout ties in Europe. So, in a row, consecutively, yeah. So even with Arsenal, he got Arsenal all the way to Europa League final.
Yeah.
So and didn't lose any two. It was brilliant with two-legged ties. So Emery, a bit like Klopp, he knows how to do two-legged football. So if we get past Benfica, the Villarreal thing is no walk in the park. That's going to be turgid and horrible.
Yeah.
Well, Kev, we'll stay on this because, as most people will be aware now, that Villarreal went through. They drew 1-1 tonight, but a very late equaliser to put them through against Bayern Munich. And, you know, as Emmett touched on there, not many people would have seen Villarreal getting into the semi-finals. I mean, not many people would have seen Villarreal getting into the semi-finals at 7 o'clock tonight. Never mind earlier on in the season. Do you know what I mean? These are no mugs. They're no pushovers. And, you know, if we do get past Benfica, because, you know, Benfica beat Ajax. They came out of the group with Barcelona. No, Barca are shite this year, but Ajax were a fancy team. They were hugely fancied, and Benfica got through them. So we don't want to take them for granted. But if we do get through them, we play Villarreal. What are your worries about? Would you rather, put it this way, would you rather play Bayern in a semi-final, or would you rather play Villarreal? And that sounds like a stupid question.
I watched the game tonight because I knew we were playing one of the two. I didn't watch the Chelsea game. And I would have preferred to play tonight's Bayern over tonight's Villarreal every day of the week, because the arrogance in the selection that Nagelsmann put out deserved to go out.
Oh,
They played a 3-5-2 with two fullbacks as their left and right centre back. They played Upamecano as your central centre back. You had a fullback CDM as your holding midfielder in Kimmich with Goretzka. Then you had the young kids, Muslera, Lewandowski, and Thomas Muller up front. You had two wingers as your wingbacks in Coleman and Sané. It was total disdain and disrespect to Villarreal that we're just going to steamroll you. And if you watched his press conference, he'd come out with a statement that Villarreal are 1-0 up, but the worst thing is they gave us a chance. They missed their chances. They let us leave without killing us. Something along those lines. And I thought, you're really showing your immaturity and your lack of understanding, your lack of self-awareness in making a stupid comment like that, because this is the same Villarreal side that beat Man United last year in the Europa League. It was last year or the year before. And you're playing against players who love defending. Pau Torres and Raul Albiol love defending. Rulli is a really good goalkeeper. You know, Parejo is a brilliant passer of a football. Capoue loves that holding central midfield role and breaking play up. Gerard Moreno up front loves playing the lone striker role. Danjuma's pace to burn. And then they take Danjuma off and they bring Chukwueze on, who has absolute pace to burn. And the only reason he was allowed to score is because Nagelsmann brought on Alphonso Davies and played him at left centre-back. He hasn't a clue how to play left centre-back. He left Chukwueze in acres of space, and the shot that he took, he hit the ball into the ground and gave Neuer absolutely no chance. You know, and they were threatening that counter-attack all night. And they had two chances in the first half on the counter, and it didn't quite work. And they had a real chance late in the second half that they should have done better with, and then they finished it off right at the end. They absolutely deserve to go through on the night, Villarreal. Chris is right, they're a pig of a side. You don't want to go behind to them. If you can get ahead of them, if you can get ahead of them in the game, you can pick them off. Because if they have to come out and play football, you can pick them off. But if they go ahead, they will love nothing more than defending for 179 minutes of a 180-minute game over two legs. And they will take great pleasure in it. You know?
Yeah.
That's what you're up against now. If we get through, that's what we're up against.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of stick in the comments. I'm not, as someone has accused me of, I am not calling them prime Barcelona. I'm just saying they are what they are, which is they're actually the more Atletico Madrid, which is a pain in the arse to play against. That's not me saying they can't go through. It's not me saying you can't beat them. I'm just saying they're a pain in the arse because they will sit really deep, really compact. A la Chelsea have done it three times to us this year. It's an arse to play against. It's beatable, but it's a real pain. It's a pain in the arse. There won't be much movement. So this tonight will look like to be clinical and hopefully not have Adrian in goal.
Yeah, very true. But if you look at their lineup from tonight, they went out with Geronimo Rulli in goal. They have a back four of Estupinan, Pau Torres, Raul Albiol, and Juan Foyt. I think he's a good player, Juan
Yeah, it
Foyt,
was
but he's
Tottenham, wasn't it?
a centre back that's now playing at right back. So what you're getting there is height and solidity. The midfield four of Capoue, Parejo, Coquelin, and Lo Celso. Now, that's 4 central midfielders in there playing across a 4. Very Atletico Madrid.
Very
Absolute.
tight. Very tight.
And then you've got Danjuma and Moreno from Moreno, very workmanlike. Danjuma's the spark that they have. But it does stink of Atletico Madrid. And, you know, they're not going to be a pushover. Before we move on, Dinesh Correa, rest in peace, Shane Warne, with the super chat. Evening, gentlemen. 81, Liverpool won the 3rd Champions League final against Real Madrid in Paris on the 27th of May. This year could be the same. The final on the 28th. I love all these little, you know, this happened and that happened, and you know, I'm all on board on this. So yeah, the more the merrier. But thanks very much for the super chat, Dinesh. Much appreciated. Emmett. Unai Emery is a manager that in the Premier League, he's another foreign manager that came in and was up against it from the very start and was more or less ran out of town. I think he's one of the most underrated managers in world football. I think he's brilliant. Is he someone that we should be wary of? If not the players on the pitch, his mind of European knockout competition, is it one that you would be wary of?
I'd definitely be wary of him. Myself and Chris were just talking before the show started that, I mean, he's beaten us before in Europe in a final with Sevilla. I think Emery's time at Arsenal, I'm not sure, like you sometimes have managers that are just suited to a division or a league, and maybe he just wasn't suited to the Premier League, but he's done really well at all the clubs that he's been with in the likes of Spain and with Villarreal, Sevilla. I know he's, like Chris said, he was with PSG as well. Probably wasn't the best of times there, but
he does have the best of times there.
Yeah, but it might just show that it just Spanish football probably suits him. No, I think I was one of the first ones to say it in the Telegram earlier on that when everybody was saying Bayern is out, I said I wouldn't be underestimating Villarreal. No. Like you said, Kev said, they beat United. I know it's United, but they beat them in the final, took them all the way to penalties, scrapped all the way. Like you said, they'll have no problem whatsoever sticking everybody behind the ball and defending for 180 odd minutes, possibly more. And then trying to squeak through on penalties or something like that. But I mean, I think that we've improved over the last couple of seasons when it comes to playing against teams like that. I mean, a couple of seasons back, we struggled to break down low blocks and stuff like that. But I think we've kind of got a handle on it. The question you asked at the start, I probably would have preferred to play Bayern. I probably, and I know when you said when you're asking the question that it's probably a stupid question. I don't think it was. Like, do you know what I mean? You go up against a team that want to come out and play. You don't want to be like when Atletico didn't come out a half for us in this round. It's more of a gunfight. Lucky stars. Yeah,
it's more of a shoot off them, which probably suits us.
Yeah, but and as well as that, like. You have league games in and around those as well. Like, do you know what I mean? You don't want dogfights. You want to go out and look. If you go out and you put it up to Bayern and you end up going out, you go out on your shield. Like, do you know what I mean? You don't want to be getting knocked out to a ball going in off someone's arse in the 89th minute against Villarreal and them going through 1-0. Like, do you know what I mean? So I would prefer to play Bayern. I wouldn't be underestimating Villarreal at all. I'm glad Kev and Chris and yourself know stuff about them. I know fuck all about Villarreal, if I'm being honest. So I'm glad you didn't come to me first. I do know some of their players. I haven't really watched them, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. I'm only going by what Kev and Chris said. But yeah, no, I prefer Bayern, but definitely not to underestimate Emery. He's had a win over us before in a Europa League final. So yeah, we better tread carefully.
I think if Emery was given time with a proper structure, which probably Arteta's got a bit more now, Arsenal will be further along the way they want to be. I think Emery's quite good. I think Emery's quite good. I think he went to the wrong club.
I think Emery is suited to what Villarreal are doing, that defensive style, that counter-attacking play. I don't think Arsenal would have worn that.
But that's what Arteta's done for the first 2 seasons. They sat with 11 men behind the ball and banged it long and scored. It worked. It beat us. It beat City, so it worked.
Yeah.
He's now trying to evolve that. So I'm not. I can't be convinced that he couldn't have done that as well. He's a good manager.
He's a good coach.
The other nice omen for us is if we get to the semi-final, in the middle of the semi-final is an away trip to Newcastle. Last time we were in that situation, we went on and won number 6. So there's another nice omen for us.
There you go. Yeah,
well,
why not?
Reece McCardle asked a question there. Has the home and away bits been sorted out for the Champions League semi-finals? It has, Reece. Yeah, we'd be home for the first leg of semi-final and away in the second leg.
Yeah. And that does play into it. You know, again, I don't like jumping ahead and presuming that we'll beat Benfica. And I know people will be like, oh, look, Benfica, Liverpool are a better team. But you have to respect your opponents. And, you know, we are Liverpool fans. We are a Liverpool fan channel. So we are going to assume that Liverpool do get over that hurdle. Anfield in the first leg, European semi-final, under the lights. I would want us to go and absolutely blitz them, because you don't want to be going and leaving yourself having to do anything over there. And it is going to be a tricky game. Ultimately,
I was going to say, one of the stats that come out with tonight, Villarreal has a population of 50,000. It's about the size of Navan. You know, it's in England. It's smaller than Macclesfield. So if the entire population of the town of Villarreal turned up to the Allianz Arena tonight, there'd have been 25,000 empty seats. What they've achieved to get to achieve what they've achieved in Europe, just by even being in La Liga, in the top flight in La Liga, is an amazing achievement. Rocking up to a Champions League semi-final against Liverpool, God willing that we get there. Hats off to him, because what an achievement for someone, a place that small. I mean, to be like someone in Cork going like, you know, Ballincollig and, you know, Ballincollig and Macroom, or Ballincollig and Carrigaline joined together kind of thing. Like, you know, tiny in comparison to what you're talking about. What they've achieved tonight is unbelievable. And they'll be hopping off that.
Yeah.
Jono's right there, Keith. The players have to respect the opponents. Us fans don't. I'm all about that. I'm just trying to be diplomatic about it, Jono. You know yourself.
But you are spot on there, Keith. Though, with the way the way the legs are set up, you want to, if we do get through, you want to go into that first leg. You want to try and come out that first leg with at least a 2-goal gap, because Klopp's record away in Spain is not the best. And I think the last time we played Villarreal away was in the Europa League semi-final, and the away game was tough then. You know, so you want to go. You don't really want to go there needing to get a win or needing to push it, because I just don't think that. I think that'll play into their hands a little bit.
Indeed, Laura Duffy. I'd
encourage anyone to watch tonight's game. What if you can watch extended highlights of the Villarreal Bayern game? If you haven't seen it, watch it, because you will be impressed by how they defend. You cannot not be impressed by how they defend. And look at what they were defending against. You had Sané on one wing, Coleman on the other wing. You had 3 centre forwards who are really good. And you had midfielders attacking and getting into the box as well. You know, and Pau Torres, you could see why so many clubs were interested in him last summer, and why big money was being talked about with him. He is a serious centre-back who's a proper traditional centre-back, in the old-fashioned mold of someone who just loves to defend.
Where would he fit if he came to England? Where would he fit, do you think?
I would be shocked if Chelsea aren't all over him. I would be shocked if Chelsea aren't all over him this summer.
Because
he's better than anything they have.
Yeah, because suppose they sit deeper.
Thiago side.
Yeah. So sort of thinking, if he goes to a side that plays a high line and is a bit more open, I'm not sure if that shows the best of his attributes.
So I watched him for Spain in the Olympics, and he was very good for them as well, doing that role, that high line role that Spain played in the Olympics. He can play football as well, you know, but he is a proper defender.
Option for Man United?
Oh, for God's sake, he's way better than that. He's no, and that's no disrespect to Manchester United. They're going to be playing in the Conference League next year. He will be looking to sign for a club who are going to be challenging for titles.
But would he be, why I'm saying that, and it is a bit tongue-in-cheek, right? But if Erik ten Hag takes the Manchester United job, and I've seen Leipzig are trying to get him at the 11th hour now, but if Erik ten Hag was to take on that, he's the type of centre-back that Erik ten Hag could really, build his team around.
Him and a Jules Koundé, I think, in a 3 with someone like De Ligt, or even if they kept in a 3 with Varane as your central one of a 3 with those two either side of him. Yeah, I could see that. Looking on, taking notes, and getting sausage sandwiches for the lads at halftime.
I'm looking at the stats from the game here. So Bayern had 23 shots on goal, and Villarreal had 52 clearances in defence.
They're no mugs.
It just sounds like Atletico. It just sounds like Atletico, doesn't it?
It is Atletico. It's Atletico row all over them. And, we have to take them. Shawnee Lawson's in the chat there saying how horny the chat is tonight. It's rocking in there, Shawnee. Usually is. We've the best chat in town, it must be said. Yeah. The community, all these boys will vouch for because they've all come from there.
A few of the chat are asking about Albi Moreno. He won't play. Paul has done his ACL. He's done his ACL again, unfortunately. I think he's looking at Christmas time before he's even back, which is a shame for him.
If he gets back at all, because that's the second time he's done that one on that knee. It's a horrific injury for the kid.
Yeah, and a good lad, you know what I mean? Albi was, love him or loathe him.
That United gift, it was worth it for that United gift.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
he could die on that. It's just iconic, that.
I know, yeah, fair play to him. But like I say, he's a good egg. He's a good lad. Yeah. So it's a shame for him. But ultimately, we want to be smashing them.
We want to be. We have to be favourites. Yeah,
nearly along the lines of the year when we played Roma and done the damage. Sort of gave away goals at the end in that first leg. But if you can do something like that and take the sting out of that second leg, because I'd be very weary having to go over there and do something, because they are going to be a threat. They're not going to be household names, but they're going to be well drilled, well oiled, with a manager who knows how to get things done in European competition. So, look, once we get past Benfica, take nothing for granted, except those fans, which we do.
Which we always do,
The prize is a semi-final against Villarreal. So, lads, I want to get a score prediction of his offer tomorrow night. Scores, goal scorers, and score prediction and goal scorers. So, Chris, how do you see it going, and who do you see scoring?
I've gone 3-1. Diaz, Keita, Firmino, and I think Nunes will score again for them.
Excellent. Very thorough. Emmett?
I'm going to go 4-0. I went 4-0 in the first leg, so the only one. It's going to be Bobby, Diaz. I would say Trent if he plays, and Salah to get one as well. Lovely and out sentiment. A penalty or an open play one? Open play.
That'd be nice.
Has to be open play. Yeah.
Penalties don't count.
Yeah, not at this stage. Kev, what about yourself?
2-0. I think Diaz will get on the score sheet, and it'd be interesting if we get a penalty to see who would take it, James Milner or Fabinho. But I think we will get a penalty. No, I don't think Salah will start. I think we will get a penalty, and I think it will be Fabinho that'll step up and take it.
Did you see Salah's face when we got a penalty against Watford? He was fucking raging. It was so funny. He does that celebration that does the fuck it out.
It should be Fab though, shouldn't it? Let's face it.
It should be a great night.
He should be our pen taker.
Fabinho should be. Yeah. I think Fabinho's the best penalty taker at the club, and I think Milner is an excellent. I'd have either of them ahead of Mo any day of the week, even though Mo doesn't miss that many. He scares me taking a penalty as well. The left foot, it's the shaping up to, and even Messi taking penalties. Do you know what I mean? I'm more confident with Messi taking a free kick 25 yards out than you are a penalty. It's mad, but I don't know what it is.
I think his technique's got a bit.
It has got better, yeah.
Because his first ones were just literally running. You were like, I just think he's hitting this and open where it goes.
Bogging them straight down the middle. Like, and it's like, what is this?
There does seem to be a bit more range now in his penalty taking. I mean, look, maybe he's been taking lessons off Milner.
I think Fabinho's got an arrogance about him. That Panenka in a penalty shoot, shootout.
Yeah.
What you're thinking, man? Do you know that is just pure Brazilian flair and
I love the
arrogance.
inside Wembley where you have Van Dijk grabbing him and just saying like pure arrogance. He goes, "Is that what we're doing now? We're just chipping keepers." But I think Keith, you hit the nail on the head. I think when Chelsea brought on Kepa, with all the fanfare around him, I think it pissed off a lot of the Liverpool players, and it was almost like Milner, Fabinho, Van Dijk, especially, and Salah all went, "We're going to make a show of you.
Yeah,
you're going to come on and be the big hero." Because the Van Dijk one was just pure
outrageous.
That is the most arrogant penalty I've seen.
One of the worst goalkeeping placements of a penalty I've ever seen by a professional, where he stands on one side of the goal and still gets beaten. Do you know, it's outrageous.
It was the look of the stain.
That was in there.
The look back of the stain from Van Dijk as he was walking away and the shake of the head was like,
I think the Mo one was because he just laughed at him before he kicked it. He was laughing at him. And I think that's it. I think his head had been a bit kettled after that.
Yeah, good enough for him. So we've got all your. Did I get your prediction?
Yeah,
2-0. Scorers was who?
Diaz and Fabinho.
Nice. Yeah, very nice. I'm going for 4-0. No, I'll go 7. We'll keep it honest. We'll go 4-0 because as much as I like Darwin Núñez and I think he's brilliant, I think he's a brilliant player. He's going to have a great career. I don't think they caused us many problems in the first leg. I think they got the goal from a mistake by Kanate. Great finish by Núñez. But I think if Liverpool are on it defensively, I don't think they'll even score. I think 4-0. I think Diaz will score 2. I think Van Dijk will score. And I think Bobby will score. So that's what I'm going with. But we could be all right. We could be wrong. Who knows? MC is putting in a show for, we're going off tangent here, Zidane's Panenka in the World Cup final. That took stones. Because bear in mind,
he just bounced over the line, didn't it? Was it the ball?
Yeah, hit the crossbar. But here, it's the World Cup final.
Yeah.
It's against Buffon.
Yeah.
That
was unbelievable.
Old teammate as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Buffon and Zidane would have been at Juventus at the same time.
Like that takes absolute cojones to do that, and that was one of the best. I mean, I could talk about Zinedine Zidane all night. He's one of my favorite players of all time. He's the biggest of big game players, always done it. And I think the way he went out in that final was absolutely brilliant because it summed up Zidane
because he's beautifully flawed. He's beautifully flawed as well, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Because I think even in '98 when they won it, he was suspended for 2 of the group games.
For stamping on the.
Because you stamped on a fella, and it was like it wasn't. They weren't playing anyone difficult. They just someone dared to tackle him, so we just stamped on him.
Someone take a note because during the summer when there's no football on, we're definitely going to do a show on Zinedine Zidane. And we're definitely going to look at him because whenever you're talking about World 11s or best 11s that you've ever seen, if he's not in that 11, then that 11 is wrong.
Yeah,
he's
got
without doubt the best midfielders I've ever seen play.
I think he's the best midfield player of all time.
Yeah.
I've got that Real Madrid shirt, from that volley.
Yeah,
because it's actually not that great looking Real Madrid shirt. It was just because when you saw that volley, you were just like, it's just unreal,
iconic. Yeah.
I mean, that was at Ibrox, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, it was Hamden.
Hamden, sorry.
Yeah,
against Leverkusen, wasn't it?
Yeah. Look, I think he's brilliant, and like I said, a little tangent. And Dick, I was looking for a bit of Yellow Submarine. I couldn't do that now. You know what I mean? Fuck them. I want that Yellow Submarine to sink way down to the bottom of the Mersey. So we won't do that. Let's not give them any of that respect. You know, they don't. You have to earn. A song by me is earned. You know what I mean? We don't just give them away for free. But now, all joking aside, look, lads, we'll wrap it up. We've done an hour. Before we go, just had a quick one on the sponsor, our charity partner, Féileacáin. We've got the golf day coming up in June, looking to push for donations. We know times are tough for people. We know there's a cost of living crisis, there's energy crisis, there's rent crisis, there's food poverty. There is every sort of shite sandwich that you can be dealt with. We're all getting dealt with at the moment. So we all know that, and we understand that. And while we would love if everybody who watches the show, who listens to the show, who subscribes, everything like that, if they all donated to this, it'd get us to 10 grand. But we're realistic as well in that people are living, you know, close to the cloth, and we do understand that. But if people could share it, could look at it, can spread it across all their socials, all your WhatsApp groups, because you may not have needed the service of a Féileacáin. You know, who, for people who don't know, it's a support for people who lose a baby during or just after pregnancy, you know, and you may not have gone through that, but I'll guarantee you know someone who has, or someone who you know has gone through it that you may not even be aware of. You know, it's such a traumatic time for anyone who's gone through that. And this helps to give, you know, that little bit of comfort through them grieving periods. So look, we're a big fan on this channel of trying to promote things and use our platform. It sounds a bit douchey, right? Use your platform for doing good, but that's what we want to do here. And you know, if people can just spread the word and help us get to that 10 grand, it's a hard ask. We know that. We're not foolish. We're not, I do slag Gav calling Bob Geldof, always looking for your money. But we're realistic. We know it's tough for people. If you could share it, if you could pass it on, if people want to do a bit and do the donations, it's all appreciated. It's not for us. We don't get this money. We don't get now of this, only knowing that we've pushed a good charity, that we've helped people out. And if we did manage to get to 10 grand, that would help that charity for a year or so, the support that they would get. So it's only small in the grand scheme of things, but we do know people do have a lot of stuff that is going on, and looking for money at the moment isn't the best time to do it. But let's just do our best to push that for the next few weeks at least. As usual, if you like the show, hit the like button, hit the subscribe if you're not subscribed. Gav is pushing it now. Only 40% of people who listen are subscribed. I think a few of them could be the likes of my outfit, who's a bit away with their fairies and just watches these but doesn't know how to subscribe to YouTube. But, you know, for those who aren't, just hit the subscribe, the little bell icon up in the top. You know, you'll get notifications for when shows are on. I do this. These three lads do this. We're all not volunteers. We love doing it. Gav puts in the hard work, but everyone on this channel, we just do it because we love talking about football. We love talking about Liverpool. We love talking about biscuits and chocolate and what's your favourite song on a karaoke. We love just talking shy. So, you know, if you like what we do, spread the word. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave us a comment. If you don't like what we do, leave us a comment. Or not, you know, but we're big boys. We can take it. But, yeah, just get on. We're going to finish up there. Chris, thanks for joining me. Have you anything else before we go?
Just a shameless plug. I think it came out early in the week. I've done an interview with BBC's Emma Sanders talking about the women's promotion and looking at next season. About 40 minutes, so we go quite in depth. So if you get a chance, give it a watch. It's a good laugh. Emma's always very good value.
Excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Emmett, before we go.
No, all good. Just looking forward to tomorrow now.
Excellent stuff. Kev, before we go.
Same as everyone else, and just looking forward to tomorrow night. Now, I just want to get this done and dusted, and start looking forward to the rest of April, because it's going to keep coming thick and fast now. So we're just going to enjoy this. It doesn't get any better. Ask Chelsea.
Yeah, this is what we're all in it for, lads. This is what being a supporter is all about. Hard games, hard Aprils. I wouldn't swap it for the world. Bring on Benfica. Let's see them aside, and let's bring on the Yellow Submarine after that, and let's see where we go. I'll be in Paris in May, cheering on the Reds. I hope there'll be many more in Paris in May cheering on the Reds, and we'll see where we go from there. But look, we've been the midweek. I was going to say the Fatback Four. This has been the midweek fix. We've been the LFC Daytrippers, and we'll see us all again soon.